Welcome to the award-winning PrepZone Show. I'm your host, Johnathan Bentley, joined by my co-host, Zak McCullough. Zak, we're past the halfway point
Past
now.
the halfway point in the high school season.
We only had a few games last week, which
it
was really weird.
It didn't work out well number-wise. Had 6 games.
Yes, and I'm looking at this, and 3 were shutouts.
3 of them were shutouts. There was really one close game.
Yeah, it was a kind of a down week for high school football around here. We had some big matchups. They just didn't live up to it for the most part.
Didn't.
All right, so we'll jump right in. What did you think about Jasper 42, Dora 14? That surprised you?
Dora turned the ball over too much to have a chance. I mean, it was surprising how much Dora turned it over. I figured Jasper would win just because Jasper has more depth, bigger team. But the way they won, I was really impressed with the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, it was Dora fumbled the opening snap. It wasn't an onside kick. It was like a pooch kick. Fumbled that, and that kind of set the tone. They had 4 in the first quarter.
4 fumbles.
4 fumbles,
Goodness.
6 in the game. And you would say, well, if you took those turnovers away, Jasper had 5. So we had 11 turnovers in this game.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was not. Neither team. I didn't think Jasper played particularly well, but.
And what's funny is it was raining all over the county. And Dora, it was dry as a bone, and they still had 11 turnovers.
Yeah, you would have thought it was a monsoon. It was just one of those weird games. I was hoping we could see best against best and see how it would have went, but Jasper gets that one, moves to 4-2. Lynn went up a classification, went to Cold Springs, and took care of them, 35-16.
35-16. Cold Springs fought. It was, 3-touchdown game. Lynn, it was non-region, so Lynn didn't have to try as hard. Still got the job done going back into region play. Will be interesting because Lynn, they have a good shot at winning out.
Yes, they do. We'll mention that in a second. Also had the best game of the day was Corner 35 at Jacksonville 28.
Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken, led 21-7 at one point. And I thought, oh no, Corner's undefeated season's over. They're about to get beat. Here come the Yellow Jackets. They stormed back and they won the game. Proud of them. They did an outstanding job fighting from behind. It just seems like it's hard to beat Corner this year.
Yeah, I was glad to see it. It's funny, our photographer there said one of the players told them they're a second-half team, and it proved true.
It did. It proved really true.
Yeah, it was 28-28, and they got Spencer Unruh had the game-winning touchdown. So good for them. Stayed undefeated. Game you were at, Oakman 41, Carbon Hill 0.
Yeah, Oakman just ran all over Carbon Hill. Tyler Thomas had an outstanding game. Oakman just really looked incredible. It was the first start for Ryan Hall's son at quarterback, Hampton Hall. He got the start at quarterback, did very well. Glad to see that. Carbon Hill really got beat bad. We'll see how they can respond. Oakman, it was good for them. They kind of rested a few starters. Definitely they're going to need them now that they have Gordo and Winfield the next 2 weeks, both on the road.
Big games coming up for them. Winston County, like Corner, stayed undefeated, 46-0. I was at that one, and that's about all you can say about it. It wasn't a whole lot of good things.
Yeah, Winston County beat Curry pretty handily, 46-zip. Winston County, they're surprising really good. I mean, they have a shot at going undefeated here.
I think they've already matched last year's win total, or maybe passed it. They had 5 last year.
They were at 5-5 last year. They are at this point right now 6-0, so they've passed it.
Already passed it. And Good Hope, this was kind of surprising. Good Hope 27, Addison 0. That's usually a close game.
It is, but Addison was stepping way up in classification. Give Addison credit for scheduling that game. That's very tough. You're going to an undefeated 4A team, and Good Hope beat them, but it really wasn't terrible if you think about the circumstances. Good Hope extremely outnumbered them. So
yeah, and Addison, Good Hope's actually really good this
year.
Good
Hope is really,
this is
really
one of their
good
better
this year.
They've already passed last year's win total. And Addison, the injuries from the start of the season, it's been tough, but they've got some big wins also. All right, so we'll talk about the top players of the week. Jump straight to the player of the week, which is Winston County for the second straight week. It's Chris Clemens, 355 all-purpose yards. He rushed I think he touched the ball 10 times.
Wow.
He had 6 rushes for 185 and 4 touchdowns. He returned a punt, 70 yards, a kickoff, 85 yards, and he played 1 play into the third quarter. So he missed. That was basically in a half.
355 all-purpose yards in 1 half.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's not bad.
It's all right. Oh, man, that's incredible. Goodness, 355 yards in a half.
It was. Yeah, he touched it. He was gone pretty much.
That's domination.
Yeah, they could. It was it's been hard for a lot of teams to stop him. Usually he does it receiving wise.
Right.
So it was weird to see him rush for 185. All right, so Micah Pledger, a game I was at, was kind of, I guess he was the best offensive player on Jasper. They had some other quarterbacks both did well at times and not well at other times. But Pledger was consistent. He rushed 15 for 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think it was 1 touchdown. Caught 3 passes for 94 yards. He had 2 touchdowns total. He also had a 74-yarder called back. He was just consistent. You know what you're getting from him. And you want to talk about Tyler Thomas?
Yeah, so Oakman's Tyler Thomas had an outstanding game against Carbon Hill. He rushed 17 times for 188 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he passed the 1,000-yard mark on the season in Oakman's 41-0 win over Carbon Hill. So congratulations to Tyler Thomas. Had an outstanding game, milestone accomplishment on the season, and Oakman's 5 games in, and he's already hit 1,000 yards.
5 games. Incredible. And he has actually passed 1,100. So he went even better than that.
A little better.
It isn't like he has 1,001. He has 1,100 something. So,
he could hit 2,000.
Yeah, it's a good chance.
Good chance.
Now that schedule does get a lot tougher.
It does.
And we'll mention Lynn's J.P. Burkett, 183 and 4 touchdowns. I did not expect that from him.
And this is a defensive specialist. He's really good on defense. He's not on offense too much, but he just went off against Cold Springs. Had an outstanding game. 183, 4 touchdowns. That's pretty good.
Yeah, almost all their touchdowns. 4 of the 5 touchdowns for him. They just went to the ground and pounded Cold Springs. And in a losing effort, another guy that topped the 1,000-yard mark is Jaden Griffin. He just needed 8.
And he got 195.
So he got 195 and a touchdown. They were buried at the 2-yard line. He goes 90. It was a 6-yard line, 94 yards the other way. Yeah, that really helped his numbers.
It did.
You can't catch him. He got in the open. He's gone. It's a lot like Tyler Thomas. It's a shame they don't play each other.
I know. It's the year of the running back, it feels like. You've got Griffin, you got Thomas, you have Spencer Unruh at corner, and Micah Pledger at Jasper. Everyone having a great year.
Yeah, Unruh had a huge game against Dora. His first 2 games of the year were incredible. All right, we'll jump into this week's games. We have a full list. And we had 6 last week, and 2 of those were on Thursday. We have 11 Friday. Jasper's off. I want to mention that. Do not go to Cairo Gambrell. That will not be there.
There will not be a game. Beautiful facilities to go stare at.
Yeah, go look at it.
Go look at it. It's beautiful. But
sit there, but no game. So they have a big game next week.
They do.
All right, so we'll jump right into the biggest games of the week. Dora at Haleyville, but they're both 3-3.
Yeah, both 3-3. It's at Haleyville, but in this game I went back and forth on it. Settled with Dora, even though it's on the road. I think too much Jaden Griffin, and that's why the Bulldogs will win.
Yes. Jaden Griffin's going to get the ball. You think we're telling Haleyville a secret?
No, they know that. They know that.
He's going to carry it a lot.
A lot.
I also went Dora, and it seems like they play well against Haleyville. The last 2 years, Haleyville would always beat Corner, and Dora would beat Haleyville. And then they'd always be in a tie.
It'd be a 3-way tie.
We don't have to worry about that. Just beat Haleyville, and Dora will be in a great spot. They're 3-0 in the region already. But I picked Dora as well, but boy, it's going to be tough on the road. So the second game, Oakman 4-1 at Gordo 5-1.
Gordo is an outstanding football team. And the weird thing about this matchup is whenever Oakman goes to Gordo, they play really well. They keep it close. When Gordo comes to Oakman, it's a different story. So the road team plays well. So for that reason, I think Oakman's going to fight really hard. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Gordo's going to have a scare thrown into them. But in the end, I have to go with the Green Wave.
Yeah, I mean, it's Gordo. You know, how many teams have a winning record? How many teams ever beat Gordo? I mean, Winfield did this year, which is
which is really surprising.
Yeah, and they thumped them pretty good. So it tells you how good Winfield is. But I went Gordo as well. It seems like Oakman will play them close, at least a half, maybe third quarter. Yeah. And then Gordo usually get a couple touchdowns and pull away. And I don't see. I'd probably be around the same thing this year. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Hopefully we can see.
Yes, I would love that. Speaking of Winfield, 5-1 at Carbon Hill, 1-4.
Yeah, Winfield. This is a rivalry too, which people don't really talk about. It's kind of a rivalry that is brewed. In this game, though, I think Winfield's going to probably run all over Carbon Hill. So I'm going to go with the Pirates.
Yeah, I expect it to kind of be like the Oakman game last week. They kind of take control early. I went Winfield as well. Now, in basketball, I'll probably pick Carbon Hill.
Oh, I would too.
Yeah. So, Good Hope. We have to Seems like every team in the county's played this team.
It feels like it. They're in
That's
that
why
region.
they're 5-0. Good Hope 5-0 at Curry 0-6.
Yeah, this is Good Hope's probably going to win this one pretty handily. Hopefully Curry can, surprise them, but I'm seeing Good Hope winning big.
Yeah, I took Good Hope as well. That's could be 6-0. I would never guess that. Had a really good
Not
season.
with Good Hope, no.
So Fayette County at Cordova.
I think
Fayette County struggled.
they have. They're
2-4.
2-4. It's not been a good season for Fayette County. Not been a good season for Cordova either. So somebody's going to get a win they desperately need. It's at Cordova, so I think it's going to be very close. However, I'm going to have to go with Fayette County here. I think that they're just going to throw it a little more than Cordova expects it, and that'll catch them off guard. So I've got the Tigers.
Yeah, Cordova 1-4. They got that win
Against
Curry. Yeah, so I'm going Fayette County as well. But I mean, they're struggling. If Cordova could just jump out on them, they have so much trouble scoring.
Right.
The defense usually keeps them in games. But I see Fayette County winning on the road. It's an interesting game. Briarwood Christian 1-5 at Corner 5-0.
I think Corner's going to win this one really big. Yellow Jackets probably big win.
Yeah, I mean, this is a name team. Briarwood Christian used to be really good.
I know it.
And last week, they beat the number 4 team in the state by
which is
17 points.
That's weird.
It
Could
could
be a little alarming. But I think Briarwood used it all up last week. They don't have anything left in the tank for Corner.
Wow.
And it's an easy game for the Yellow Jackets.
I hope that's true. Yeah, I mean, Corner's hard to beat, and it's at home, and they're 5-0. Speaking of 5-0, Lynn 5-1 at Berry, surprisingly 5-0.
Berry is a really surprising 5-0, but they've dominated everyone they played, but their schedule has not been near as tough as Lynn's.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn, their only loss was to Hackleburg, playing with backups. They've been beaten up with injuries. I think Lynn's a little healthier now. It's at Berry, which could be troublesome, but I'm going to have to lean Lynn here. I think Lynn's going to win.
Wow. Okay. That's one we have different. I picked Berry, and I don't really know why. Well, they have their good coach came back.
Right. He came back.
Danny Raines came back. First year, they're 5-0. They went 4-6 last year. And like you said, Lynn is battle-tested, I would say, way more than Berry. You're going to have to beat Berry by 2 touchdowns when you get. It's kind of like Hamilton used to be. When Berry's good, it's almost impossible to win there. So hopefully Lynn takes care of them and it's not close and then come down to a penalty or something.
Yes, that would be
But
good.
I did pick Berry. But hopefully that is incorrect. Summoning Christian 1-4. South Lamar winless 0-5.
I'm surprised.
Stallions.
I am surprised that South Lamar's undefeated because last year they contended with Lynn for the region championship in 1A.
That's unbelievable, yeah.
And now they've kind of fallen apart, but they have had somewhat of a tough schedule. They got Summoning Christian. I think it's going to be really close, but I'm going to have to go with the Stallions here, South Lamar.
Yeah, Summoning Christian making the trip. They're 1-4. South Lamar is it's 1A, and especially in this region, you'll have Marion County pop up, you'll have Berry pop up, and Hubbardsville, and all these teams will be switching back and forth.
Hubbardsville's had a good season too.
And South Lamar bottomed out. But I did pick them to win this game. Summoning Christian's been banged up from the beginning, it seems like. Addison 3-3 at Waterloo 1-4. A long trek up to the very top of the state. I took Addison in this one probably pretty easily.
Yeah, I did too. I think it's going to be a big win. Long trip up there for Addison, but I think it'll be a nice, fun ride back for the Bulldogs. Real big win.
Yep, Meek played them last week and jumped out 31-0, won 31-16. I could see something like that happening. This is a tough game. The coach has made a point to stress this one. Lexington 4-2 at Winston County 6-0.
Lexington has a good football team, but Winston County, I think, is just an outstanding team. I think Winston County is going to dominate this one. Lexington might keep it close for a while, but I think Winston County has too much talent, and they're going to pull away and win.
It's 2 teams with purple.
Two purple teams.
Yeah, that's a long trip for them. They're on the interstate heading toward like Atlanta, so that's a very long trip for Lexington.
And that will help Winston County.
Yes, because that is not a short trip. And I would have probably picked Winston County anyway because they're just got too many weapons.
Right.
But yeah, I see them going to 7-0. And the last game, Shoals Christian 0-5 at Meek 2-3.
And that 0-5 for Shoals Christian is not a good 0-5. They haven't had a tough schedule, and it still hasn't mattered. Meek should win this one very, very handily.
Yes, it'll be a lot like last week. Jump out on early and just name your score. It's a shame Shoals Christian didn't play Summoning Christian.
That would be entertaining.
It is an absolute shame.
Actually, Summoning Christian would probably beat them pretty handily.
Like they did Belgreen.
Belgreen, because Belgreen beat Shoals.
Oh, boy, that is bad.
So,
all right, so let's jump into our top 5 teams of the week. I had some teams move in. Well, one move in and another one move out. But my number 5 is Jasper this week. It's the first time I've had him in there.
Really? That's the first time you've had Jasper?
Yes.
I
might have had him when they were 3.
You might have had him when they were 3. Maybe. I have Jasper in there as well at number 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a good season. 2 weeks, the past 2 weeks, not counting the Dora game, weren't great. They kind of righted the ship. Maybe they'll have some momentum after the bye week heading into the meat of their schedule.
Yes, this is a brutal stretch. Shoals here and at Hartselle.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, the 2 top teams. So I also put in here predict the record for these teams. So I got Jasper at 6-4.
I have to, and I think we agree on what the losses will probably be.
Muscle
Shoals and Hartselle's not going to be fun. At least Jasper gets Columbia, who's riding a 85 or 86 game losing
80s.
streak.
Yes.
Got
to go to Huntsville for that one, unfortunately.
That's true. Be a nice ride back.
Yes. Yeah, that's the main thing. Also had as an honorable mention, asterisk by it, Dora.
Dora gets an honorable mention.
And I also have them going 6-4, which is not great. But
no, it's not. But it's in the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll at least be second, I think, in that region at the very least.
Who do you think will beat them?
Good Hope.
Good Hope. Well, that's they could.
I think it's a Good Hope. And I just think they're having one of those years. Who's your number 4?
My number 4 are the Oakman Wildcats. They had a really nice win over Carbon Hill. Obviously, these next 2 weeks may not be so fun. They have to go to Gordo, to Winfield, the top 2 teams in that region. But Oakman, even if they lose, they're still looking at a pretty easy 3 spot in the playoffs. If they were able to pull an upset, they could be hosting a playoff game. So some implications here. And the final record got them 7-3.
Yeah, that is very similar. Yeah, just copy and paste what you said.
Copy and paste.
They haven't beaten Winfield and Gordo. I'd love for them to beat them one day. Why not this year?
Why not
this week? Gordo might be better chance to win than Winfield this year, it seems like. Maybe.
Could be.
But it is on the road. They're both on the road, and that's just really, really tough. So Oakman 7-3 and probably gets a road playoff game if that does happen. Maybe we're a game off. All right, what about number 3?
Number 3, I have Lynn. And project the final record, it's easy. 9-1, I think they went out.
Ooh, I put 8-2.
Disappointed in you. You need to have more
losing
faith.
To somebody. Oh, Barry. I picked Barry.
That's true.
I picked Barry, so I had to put 8-2.
That wouldn't have made sense. Yes. That wouldn't have made sense if you gone 9-1 and picked against them.
Because I looked at the schedule, and if they beat Barry, I don't see them losing to Hubbardsville or those other teams they had left.
Hubbardsville,
they're not bad.
I think they have a good season. They're having a good season, but I don't think they'll beat Lynn.
Yeah. Barry is a huge game this week.
This really, really big.
And number 2?
Number 2, I have Winston County.
Yeah. That's correct.
That's your number 2 as well.
That's number 2.
And
yes.
I looked over the schedule, and I really don't see another loss. I think Winston County's going to win out.
I put 9-1. I don't know. I don't know who the one is.
Pessimistic.
I don't know. I don't know. Crazy things happen.
Of course, you're giving them some good motivation. So
yes, who is the loss? Maybe Decatur Heritage.
Well, that's true.
I guess it would have to be since I picked them to beat Lexington. I think the other towns are Tharptown and Faultville. I'm not going to pick those, so it's got to be
No, don't.
So I basically just picked Decatur Heritage to beat Winston County.
And number 1
Corner.
We agreed on every single one this time.
That's the first time it's happened, I think.
I think so.
So Corner got them going 10-0.
Really?
I probably just jinxed them.
I have them going 9-1.
Oh,
which, they're going to play Carver Birmingham, which is going to be really, really tough.
They're good.
Carver Birmingham's been barnstorming the South. They've already played in Georgia. They've played in Texas. That might be tough for Corner. That might be very tough.
I think they lost in Texas.
They lost in Texas.
To go all the way to Texas, Carver Birmingham, something you would expect Hoover to do. Right. Thompson.
Carver Birmingham.
Not Carver.
It's 5A. That's 5A, and they've done a really good job of putting themselves out there.
So. Yeah, and they're having a good season too. So, we had a couple different there, but yeah, the same top 5. And Jasper 6-4 would still be a good season.
It would.
Really. I'd hate they missed the playoffs, but
in that region, 6-4.
Compared to last year, it's no comparison. All right, so we'll jump to college here. That was a game you went to last week?
That was a minor game. Alabama beat Georgia, moved up to the number 1 spot.
Those teams ranked?
Were they?
I don't think they were. No, Georgia wasn't ranked, right?
Georgia. Well, they played like it in the first half.
Yes.
They really did. Goodness, that was an outstanding football game. Alabama beating Georgia 41-34. You blow a 28-0 lead in the first half, though. That's not great. But, hey, you won.
You think it was the reason they came back is because it was 28-0? Maybe if it was 28-17, they would have pulled away.
Right.
Maybe they took their foot off the gas. But when teams do that, take their foot off the gas, they usually don't get it back. and they got it back after struggling.
I mean, the second half for Alabama was 2 good plays on offense. Both were passes to Ryan Williams. 50-50 balls, he caught them. One got him in range for a field goal. The other scored a touchdown. So
yes, and I should have put on here how many more times will we have to hear that he's 17 years old?
Until February the 9th, because he turns 18 then.
Okay, February 9th. All right. 9th. So, yeah, we'll hear. Then he's only 18 next year.
That's right.
So yes.
He could
very
be
young. This guy should be playing high school ball, which when you think of that is
that's
nuts.
Unfair to a bunch of defenses.
In Alabama, he would be playing high school ball.
Goodness.
Not Texas he would just be putting. That's why I was back-to-back player of the year. I think the only time Mr. Football as a sophomore in the state, which is incredible, than last year. And he probably would have been this year. Maybe he should get it this year, even though he's not playing high school football.
Yeah,
3 in a row.
He would deserve it.
Yeah, he would have won it. And but do both these teams make the playoffs?
I think so. I really do. Georgia, they might have another loss on the schedule. They have to go to Texas. Too. They've got Tennessee waiting. Also have to go to Ole Miss, which may not be as tough of a game as we all think after what happened to Ole Miss last week. But Georgia probably going to make the playoffs. At this point, Alabama's almost a lock to make the playoffs. Yes. They can afford to lose 2 games down the stretch, and they'd still probably be in. But, yeah, both teams make the playoffs.
It's like if you look at that top maybe 6, they're so much better, maybe top 5, than everybody else. Like you have Miami and Utah ranked in the top 10, and there's no comparison.
Then you've got teams, Alabama, you've got Ohio State, you've got Georgia's still in that
top
upper
tier
echelon.
Is
Tennessee is in
Tennessee's in that. Texas, Missouri is kind of on that cusp. We'll see what they're made of. They almost lost to Vanderbilt, so
you almost lose to Vanderbilt. It's just not good.
Yeah, should have went to double overtime. Also, where does that rank in the games you've been to in person? Over the last, how many years you've been to games now?
Since 2014. Mm-hmm. Been to most of them since 2016, but we started in 2014. But number 2, the game that beats it.
You
might want to cover your ears. The 2021 Iron Bowl that went into 4 overtimes.
Really, you have that over it? Wow.
Yeah, that's the Iron Bowl. Plus, it went into 4 overtimes.
So. Right. Yeah, the only overtime Iron Bowl ever so far.
It'll probably be another one in the future.
Hopefully this year. That would be a shocker, wouldn't it?
That would be very shocking.
Speaking of Auburn, it was a brutal loss. I know you didn't did you ever watch any of it?
Not much. Just in time to see a well-timed pick 6 for Oklahoma.
You were experiencing there was so much going on in Alabama. It was like an event. You know what I mean?
There
was more than a football game. It was just where to be.
There were Alabama fans sitting behind us watching something on their phone laughing. I asked them what they were watching. They said the Auburn game. So that's really the only thing I got out of it.
It was Peyton Thorne played a great game.
He did. Give him credit.
Until those last 2 drives. And you can see like the switch flipped.
Like he started thinking
about it. He turned it
off.
He
started thinking about it, probably.
And he was like, hey, I'm going to go back to what I do best. And then he started messing up and not throwing it to the right people and then threw that interception. It was like he was like, we're going to win this thing. And then completely changed the way he was playing. And it was awful.
Auburn has a good running back. Why are you throwing over the middle in that situation?
Yeah. That was
late in the game.
Insane. You run the clock.
Bad coaching.
Yeah.
Bad coaching.
They've been out-coached, I think, every game except maybe Alabama A&M. And maybe New Mexico.
Yeah, they outcoached New Mexico.
New Mexico. So, yeah, they have not coached well. I mean, it's pretty – when people know what you should be doing and you're not doing it, that's bad.
That's really, really
when
bad.
Everyone knows, run the ball, run the clock out. Instead, they didn't get that opportunity. So, they're 2-3 all home games, 2-6 their last 8 home games. I mean, it's Vanderbilt stuff.
I think
they are the new Vanderbilt.
I think Hugh Freeze is 4-9 against FBS opponents. Brian Harsin was 4-11.
No, he's got 2 more to go.
This really hasn't been a step up, which
I'm giving him a year.
Give him one more year.
Now, if he's this bad next year, then maybe it'll start at that point. But yeah, this is a miserable season. So, where does this team go from here? What do you think?
Hard to go any worse. To be very fair. You've got 2 winnable games left on the season if you're Auburn.
That you'll be favored.
You'll be favored. Yeah. You got Vanderbilt. You've got Louisiana Monroe. So you have to go. You have to go 4-8. You would have to. If you lose to either Vanderbilt or ULM, the wheels have come off.
You realize ULM has already beat UAB and Troy.
That's true. They're going for the trifecta. They're going for the trifecta.
Yeah, that was really surprising. UAB has really struggled.
They got blown out by Navy.
Yeah, Saturday. Not a good look.
Good for the service academies getting wins, though.
Yes, Army and Navy are both
Both
undefeated.
undefeated. Air Force has been really bad.
And I think Navy plays Air Force this week.
It's Navy and Air Force would probably be ugly, but
Okay, so do you have any picks for us?
I have. It's a nice, much better slate this week.
Oh, okay.
We're going to start out with the rematch of last year's national championship game, Michigan at Washington. Michigan is in the top 10 somehow after what happened to Texas. I didn't expect them. Kind of turning it around. They've had a decent season. Washington, they lost everybody. Alabama gutted them from the transfer portal, took their coach. Has not been a good season for Washington in the least. You think Washington stands a chance?
And I picked Washington, yes. That sounds exactly. I picked them last week.
I gave you every reason not to pick them.
You just told me why not to pick them. I picked them last week and they got beat. And it was a really close game.
It was. They should have won. In fact, little side note here, they probably would have won. They lost by 3. Washington lost to Rutgers by 3. Rutgers had a field goal blocked. And as Washington was returning it, a Washington player ran out onto the field to celebrate, called a penalty. Rutgers got another chance to kick the field goal, made it, won by 3.
Oh,
so that's what cost Washington the football game.
Don't run on the field, kids.
Do not run on the field if the game's still going on. Just don't do it.
We already had that happen in another game where they stormed the field before it was over.
They did. That was Colorado and
the
Baylor.
Review,
They were in the middle of a review to see if the game was over or not, and the students said, you know what, we're going to storm the field anyway.
Yes, they did.
And the goalpost was down before the game was technically over. Didn't matter.
Nope.
So you're going with Washington.
Yeah.
I'm going with Michigan. I think it's going to be ugly. Not even close.
Not even close. Wow.
Not even close, no.
Michigan. I think Michigan can blow out anyone.
Well,
their offense. Be 14 to 10.
Washington. It's now a Big Ten matchup, incidentally.
Yes, which is weird.
Michigan, they made a quarterback change. Davis Warren, past 2 weeks, has not played. It's been Alex Orji, and Orji has done a very good job. So I'm going to go with the Wolverines here. Mm-hmm. Next game, Ole Miss at South Carolina. Just going by simple logic here, South Carolina blew out Kentucky. Kentucky beat Ole Miss. Therefore, should South Carolina beat Ole Miss?
And South Carolina won that game at Kentucky, wasn't it?
By 25 points.
That doesn't make any sense looking back. I say Ole Miss gets it back on track.
I do too.
But South Carolina, it could be close.
It could be very close.
If South Carolina has a really good game, they could win and win easily.
It could be close, but I think Ole Miss will be motivated.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you? That
was awful.
Your undefeated season came to an end against Kentucky at home.
I was glad to see it, but that was awful.
And just think, Lane Kiffin was nearly your Auburn head coach. Of course, you would have taken him over Hugh Freeze, though, wouldn't you?
In hindsight?
Yeah, in hindsight.
In hindsight, absolutely.
In hindsight, you would have.
At the time, no.
That's a subject for another day. Yes. We're both going Ole Miss on that one. Next, an interesting game. UCF at Florida. Gus Malzahn is the head coach at UCF.
Boy.
Florida, Billy Napier, still the head coach. They hadn't fired him yet. I imagine it's probably going to come soon, though. It's at Florida, so does Florida have a chance?
Yeah, it's at home, and UCF getting blown out by Colorado.
That was surprising.
I didn't expect that. But I see Gus taking care of business. I mean, it's going to be close. Florida is really bad, but UCF showed that they are not that great either last week.
They're not. They're probably not going to win the Big 12, which brings up another subject. Who the heck is going to win the Big 12?
Boy, somebody's got to win it.
They've got Utah. Their only loss was by 2 touchdowns to Arizona Saturday, which is not good. But Arizona got manhandled by Kansas State, who got manhandled by BYU. BYU, who many people don't even realize is now in the Big 12.
I did not realize. Maybe that's your team.
They might win it all. They're undefeated. They're ranked.
They're surprising everyone.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. So you're picking UCF to win this one?
I'm picking UCF.
I'm going to have to go with UCF too. I think Gus Malzahn's really good at motivating his team, especially as an underdog. I've seen it happen too many times and pull upsets.
Florida, that'll be big.
It will be a big upset. Now, matchup that's really sneakily good. Number 9, Missouri, traveling to Texas A&M. But Missouri is undefeated but unimpressive.
Yeah, there's your top 10 Missouri team, which they keep winning.
They do.
I will say that. And Texas A&M's not great.
They're not.
So that's a really tough pick. But I'm going Texas A&M, and I don't feel good about it.
Well, it's at Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
It's at Texas A&M. Crazy things happen at Kyle Field. So definitely interesting to see what's going to happen there. Yeah, I'm going A&M. But the Aggies haven't looked great under Mike Elko.
No.
They've only got 2 losses? 2 losses at this point.
I thought it was 1.
Oh, is it just
They
one?
are ranked.
That's true.
They're ranked.
That's true. But I'm going with A&M.
Yeah.
But
Arkansas played them well last week for a long time.
Yeah, Arkansas was too close for comfort. Their game against Bowling Green, it came down to the final minutes. So A&M's looked bad, but It's at A&M, going with the
Yeah.
Aggies. Now we're going to step into the state of Alabama for the final two games. Really not a good slate. Auburn has to travel to Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia's going to be motivated, aren't they?
They would be
It'll be all
anyway.
right.
Alabama, we were talking about this before, 9-1 their last 10 against Georgia.
Nine of the
I'm
last
guessing
10.
Auburn's maybe 1-9.
Well, they won in 2017.
Yeah, that was it. There you go.
Really?
You just named it.
Has the last
They almost
before
won
that?
last year.
They probably should have won last year.
And this year, if they just quit fumbling, I don't think that'll matter against Georgia. Probably
Quit throwing interceptions.
it's mattered
might
in
help.
all their losses so far. But I don't know. You could probably not fumble and still get blown out this game.
So-
Georgia all the way.
Was the last time before 2017 that Auburn beat Georgia? Was that the Miracle on the Plains in 2013?
2013? Probably, yes.
Wow.
They'd never beat them.
I didn't realize
Anymore.
just how much Georgia owned Auburn.
Before that, it was very close. And once Georgia got like Kirby Smart, it just flipped.
It flipped.
Yeah, big time.
But I'm going to go with Georgia to win very big here. I don't think Auburn stands a chance heading into Athens, but maybe they'll surprise us.
Mhm.
Final
Be a
game,
surprise.
Alabama at Vanderbilt. Does the Crimson Tide have a Georgia hangover?
Yeah, well, Vandy's better than usual.
They are. They beat
Yeah.
Virginia Tech.
But, yeah, this will not be close. 30 points probably.
30 points. Well, that would be fairly close compared to the last time Alabama went to Vanderbilt, they won 59-0. Last time they
Ooh.
played, Alabama won 55-3.
So you're thinking about the same?
No, I think it'll be a little closer.
45-3?
45-10.
They have a good quarterback.
They
The
do.
former
Diego
New Mexico
Pavia,
State
really good quarterback for Vanderbilt. Like I say, I think Alabama might have a bit of a hangover in the first quarter. I think it'll be very close. 15 minutes into the game. After that, Alabama puts the foot on the pedal, puts the pedal to the floor, and I think it's over very quickly after that. But going Alabama, and that's all I got.
Yep. I went to the one back in the day. We went to Vanderbilt, Alabama. It was me, my buddy, and my dad, and we didn't have tickets. And my dad just walked onto the field. He walked down the thing onto the. So he was on the field. We were too scared to do it, so we didn't go in. But yeah, he was on the field. I had like a notebook or
Was
something.
that at Vanderbilt?
It was at Vanderbilt.
Okay,
Yes,
that
you
would
could.
never have happened at
No.
the Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Even in the 90s, that wouldn't have happened in Tuscaloosa. But yeah, and Vanderbilt got smoked that day as well. We had a player from our high school playing for Alabama back then. All right, so that wraps up our picks and our show this week. Want to thank Bevill State for sponsoring again. And go look at their new gym. I may need to put a picture because it is really incredible what they've done. You wouldn't think it was the same place.
No, you would.
Yeah, the other one, it needed an upgrade badly. And they got it, which I was surprised when it happened, but very happily surprised. And maybe we'll get to cover some games
I
in
hope
there
so.
eventually.
I like covering Bevill State.
Because you did cover them a couple years,
a couple
right?
years ago for the radio station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fun. All right, so we'll see you next week. I want to thank Jake for producing, and once again, Bevill State for sponsoring, and Zach for being here. And we'll see you next week.